What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to make what I think is the most perfectly balanced wildcard draft. What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. Happy international break. It is Sunday, so far this weekend on Friday and Saturday we've had a look at two wildcard drafts for you all already. So we first of all had a look at the back draft. So we had a look at the ones where maybe we want to invest a little bit more in the defence. We've seen a lot of good defences, Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester City come out. So if we want to focus on that a bit more, we had a look at that draft. Then yesterday we had a look at the three attacking premiums plus Trent, so the 4 premium draft. Again, if you haven't seen either of those videos, make sure you go and check them out. But today we're going to have a look at what I think is a very balanced wildcard draft. So the structure's there, of course. There are a couple of players which you might not quite agree with and you can tweak and change it as you want, but this structure I think is probably the most balanced wildcard draft you can make with good squad depth, whilst having good captaincy options, whilst having good depth as well in your starting 11. So let's just dive straight into it. Starting off in the defence now, just before we do, I put a little bit of work over this weekend into upgrading a few of the designs. As you can see there with the player names, with the prices, I think it looks a bit better. If you could just let me know in the comments whether you like it, whether it's an improvement and everything like that. I am constantly trying to work, so any feedback is welcome, and if you do like it and you do enjoy, please do like the video and of course subscribe for all of these types of videos. But in goal we've got Meslier of Leeds with Steele as the backup. So Leeds have a really good run of fixtures starting in game week 5. They do play Liverpool in game week 4, which is slightly annoying if you're playing your wildcard this week, but I still think that Meslier is a really good goalkeeper to go with. 5 million, yes, it's slightly more than the likes of Sanchez, but he makes a lot of saves. And Leeds were very good defensively last season, particularly at home. So given their really nice run of fixtures that does start now in game week 5, I think he's a really good keeper option to go with. He will make saves, he will keep bonus points as well because of that. And then the clean sheets, which we know Leeds can do. On top of that, they haven't kept one this season, but of course it is definitely possible. Into the defence now, the first one we add is Tanganga of Tottenham. Now the only team yet to concede a goal in the Premier League, 3 clean sheets. 4.5 million for one of their defenders, playing right back with assist potential. It all sort of comes together and combines quite nicely. Of course, there is a slight chance that someone like Doherty could come back into that Tottenham lineup, but for now, I think Tanganga works very well on the right-hand side, with Reguilon out on the left-hand side as well. So 4.5 million, yet to concede a goal. I think he's a really good squad depth player to have. Next up, another sort of squad depth player is Livrimento of Southampton. So signed from Chelsea, he's now gone up to 4.1 million. He seems to be playing either right back or right wing back, and there is definitely attacking threat. Now Southampton is a bit of a weak defence. They haven't shown themselves to be that great, but 4.1 million, there's always good to have one of those cheap defender options who can sit on your bench every week and come on when he's needed. And they do have that attacking threat on top of the clean sheet potential because of the positioning he is taking up. Next up, of course, Trent is in there. Liverpool continue to be really good defensively, have a good run of fixtures, and Trent is attacking as well. So clean sheets, goals, you know what we're going to get with Trent. He's already done it this season with a 12-pointer in the first 3 game weeks. If he's not in your wildcard draft or your team at the moment, I highly recommend trying to get him in as soon as possible, because there is no other defender who's going to score points like Trent does. Next up, we have Shaw. So again, it's very well balanced. We've got one really premium defender in Trent, one sort of mid-price in Shaw, and then 2 more budget options. So Shaw, 5.5 million. As I've said many times, Manchester United have a good run of fixtures for the next 3, and then it coincides very well with Chelsea starting a very good run of fixtures. So having Shaw now and then making the transfer of selling Shaw and buying one of the Chelsea defenders like Reece James when he's back from suspension, Rudiger, Christensen, anyone like this is a really nice transfer. But for now, with Ronaldo coming in, Shaw taking some corners, crossing it in from the left, I think he's a great option to still own. And finally in the defence, another sort of third cheaper price option, which is Connor Cody. If you needed a little bit of money, you could downgrade him to the likes of Brandon Williams at Norwich at 4.0. But I think Connor Cody, the fixtures that Wolves had, is really nice. So 4.5 million. I think even though they haven't looked that great in terms of the actual stats, conceding 3 goals, not keeping a clean sheet, I think there's points to come. And Cody is the most nailed out of all those Wolves defenders. Into the midfield, the first one we've got is Rafinha. So a bit like Meslier, they have a great run of fixtures starting from game week 5. So buying into that Leeds asset right away is definitely a good option. You don't want to be saving your transfer next week to be bringing in the likes of Rafinha or Meslier. Just start with them this week. Maybe they don't get that many points against Liverpool, but you've got them in your team for when the next run of fixtures comes around in game week 5. We know what he's capable of on set pieces as well as attacking threat from open play. We're not entirely sure how Dan James will impact that Leeds team, but I can't see Rafinha not playing, and he may even be moved slightly more centrally. Next up, Mo Salah, of course, 12.5 million, the best asset I think in the game at the moment. He gets the extra point for clean sheets, extra point for goals on top of the forwards. He is on penalties for Liverpool as well. He's just proven it over so many seasons that he is a reliable asset to own and such a good captaincy option as well. So of course, Salah is in my midfield. And next up, we've gone with Adama Traore. So you will need one of these slightly cheaper midfielders. Now, it could be Ben Rama of West Ham. It could be Ismaila Sarr. It could be Damari Gray. I've gone with Traore just because of how good their run of fixtures is. Now, he has been the biggest underperforming player so far in FPL this season. And he should have scored 17 points, yet has only scored 6. He has just missed chance after chance, and at some point, surely he's going to have to put the ball in the back of the net. The other one that I do quite like is Ismaila Sarr of Watford. So he's on penalties, probably the main sort of attacking threat from them. Everything seems to flow through him, and they have a really nice fixtures like Wolves starting from this game week. So again, at 6 million, he's another option, but the others, as I mentioned, Ben Rama, although West Ham now having Europa League would probably make me move elsewhere, and then Damari Gray at Everton has also had a really nice start to the season. Next, in the midfield, we've gone with Ferran Torres of Manchester City. So a 7.1 million midfielder for Manchester City who scores goals already seems like a good option. But now that he's playing up front for them, again, I just can't seem to turn it down. It seems like an absolutely brilliant pick to have in your team. 7.1 million means occasionally if he gets benched, okay, he comes on or he doesn't. You've got players like Tanganga, Livrimento or Cody sitting on your bench every week who can sub in for that one chance that Torres doesn't start. But he's proven himself to be that main striker at Manchester City. I think he is a good option, particularly short term. If we see when De Bruyne and Foden comes back that he's maybe not getting that many minutes, then we can look to transfer out. But while he's got that opportunity playing up front every week, I do think it's worth buying into him. And next up, we have Sissoko. So I've spoken to him a bit about previously. I think he's the best 4.5 midfielder option. So he will be playing either right mid or central midfield for Watford. He does have the ability to score goals. We saw it previously before he was at Tottenham. He's a good option. He'll play almost every week. There are others that you could go with like Brownhill, Gilmore, or even Allen at Everton. They're all a bit of a muchness. I won't speak about them too much, but Sissoko is probably the one that I'd go with. Moving into the forward line, of course, we've gone with Ronaldo. You could have Lukaku here, you could have Harry Kane, but we're going with Ronaldo, who's the most expensive of the lot. So if you decide to go with Lukaku, you can still afford the rest of this team and you can upgrade elsewhere. Whereas if I did Lukaku here, you'd have to find money elsewhere in the team. So it's a good way to set up a structure for you all. 12.5 million, as I said, they have a great run of fixtures for the next 3. Like Shaw, I'll probably be looking to sell Ronaldo myself after I probably buy him this week in order to get Lukaku for Chelsea's great run of fixtures when it coincides with when Manchester United's run ends. So that's quite a nice swap, which is why I'd probably own one of them if I was on my wildcard. But that's just my current thinking and preference at the moment. But of course, Ronaldo's Ronaldo. We know he can score goals. And I think until the Champions League starts, he's just going to be playing every week. I see him starting against Newcastle. Now he's returning to the country to start his quarantine and start training ahead of Game Week 4. Next up in the forward line, of course, Mick and Antonio, the highest scoring player in FPL so far, 7.9 million, a great price for him. He's just been absolutely electric so far. West Ham have looked great, but Antonio, of course, has been the highest point scorer for them. 7.9 million, he is a premium asset at a non-premium price. Just if you're wildcarding, make sure you own him. Finally, the other forward we've gone with is Calvert-Lewin, 8.2 million. The others you could go with potentially are Wilson, Newcastle have a nice run, or Patrick Bamford, but Everton have a cracking run of fixtures. Calvert-Lewin is on penalties for them all as well, and their style of play feels like they are just crossing the ball in the box, and Calvert-Lewin is the focal point of those crosses, and he is the one that they want to be putting the ball in the back of the net. So he is the one that sort of combines that front 3 of Calvert-Lewin, Ronaldo and Antonio, which has just got so many goals and points in it if they continue to perform as we probably expect them to do. So that is the starting 15 for my team. If you do like it, let me know in the comments or anything you would change. But let's have a look now at potentially how it would start and how I would bench going forward in Game Week 4 or beyond. So I would set up, of course, as a 3-4-3. I think it's the best formation when you're picking a wildcard at the moment. There are so many good forwards as well as that cheap midfielder to go in your bench from a midfield point of view, but also those cheap defenders like we've got with Livrimento and then Tanganga as well. So 3-4-3, you'd have Shaw, Trent, Cody playing pretty much every week because of Wolves' run of fixtures, but Tanganga or Livramento could come in occasionally, or if one of your midfielders, your attackers, gets rotated because it's Champions League or anything like that, they would be there. Torres, Salah, Rafinha, Traore in your midfield, with the big point scorers up front in Calvert-Lewin, Ronaldo and Antonio. Now, we've seen in previous seasons it's been cheap forward line with a lot of budget spent in midfield, but I really think when you are wildcarding now, it is a one premium in your midfield with Salah, cheap-ish options around them like we've got with Torres, Rafinha, Traore, and then more premium up front. So those 7-8 million forwards, as well as having that one premium in Ronaldo, who you can jump between Kane and Lukaku as well, depending on who's in form and who's got the best fixture run. So that for me is one of the best, most balanced wildcard drafts that I could potentially come up with. If you've got anything you would change, let me know. I do like potentially downgrading Meslier to a 4.5 and upgrading Cody to the likes of Nelson Semedo at Wolves, because I think his attacking threat is really great, but this is the structure that I think you should be going with. Let me know any comments in the comment section down below. Please, if you have enjoyed, like the video and subscribe and turn on notifications, because there are live streams, videos, team selection coming now and the game week deadline, and of course throughout every game week in the season. So if you have enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I will see you all very soon.
Thank you.